Okay, as you can see just now, like we can see that we have, you know, like a little percentage, like loading percentage. It seems to be pretty slow, and this is exactly what I was trying to show here. Basically, I'm slowing down. I'm using SIO2 sleep to slow down the percentage, you know, the loading process, just, you know, for us to see, you know, the percentage stored properly. Now I'm going to comment it because it started to annoy me for this tutorial. And I'm going to go back here and start adding like more shape. Whoops. Another important thing is, okay, like in Blender we got like the mass. Okay, I'm also assuming that 1 equal to 1 kilogram. Okay, and this is also like the value that bullet like suggests, because if the value is like too small, bullet will have like problem with precision problem actually. So in order to, you know, like use the mass properly, just assume, you know, that it's like in kilogram, and this thing will make your life like more easier, I think. Okay, so I'm going to continue adding like different type using the same technique as I did before. Okay, that what I call pseudo instancing, because that's not really the real thing. I'm just using it at my own advantage, like I was mentioning. Okay, let's put 4 here, make them grow a little. Okay, here and there, nice. Okay, here and center new. And once again, I'm only going to vertex paint my my parent, because in any case, like the children will have the same color applied to them. And this is, like I was mentioning, good for materials. This is good for texture. Okay, good for everything that it's used to draw this object. And they can have, and every object also can have their own like specific property. An example, like what I was showing right now, just now, is like with the physics. So I'm going to add these one and say that they are cylinder. Same here, dynamic rigid body bounds and cylinder. Actor, dynamic rigid body bounds and cylinder. Actor, dynamic rigid body bound and cylinder. Okay, and I'm going to go back in scripting. Select everything. Select everything. Oh yeah, another parenthesis. I saw that some people on the forum like had problem. They were saying that, oh, I export, but I'm not able like to see anything. So that can be caused by, first, all your objects. Okay, in order for the queuing system to work properly, all the pivot point of your objects need to be centered. So in order to do so is this right here, center new. So this will center the pivot point in the middle of your object. Another factor that might affect is I'm only exporting what it's on layer 1, okay, because the way I'm using Blender is usually I put like all my different element in like different layer, and every time I want to render, I always render like layer 1, which I think it's like good practices, but I mean it's really up to you. So make sure that all your objects, selected objects, first, that your objects are located in layer 1. Second, that all your objects are exportable. Okay, like selected and exportable. What I mean by exportable is I'm not supporting, you know, like those NURBS, okay, or meta something something. You can always like export them, but you need to, you know, like add them. In example, I add the meta ball, and after that I'm going to convert this meta ball into a mesh, and the mesh, this one I'm going to be capable to use it. You can find this thing like in, like, let's say that I put this meta ball here, like just to show you, and I'm going to enter in, wait a second, okay, enter in object mode, and I'm going to be capable to use convert object type, okay, and this to a mesh. Okay, so like an example, delete the original one. So this one become like an editable mesh, and this is the kind of mesh that I'm going to be capable to export with SIO2. Okay, so the other ones are not supported at that time. So basically, the only objects that I'm exporting, the only type that I'm exporting is really like regular objects, camera, and like regular objects, camera, and lamps. Okay, and of course the default like material and texture using Blender. For texture is JPEG and CGA, whatever type you're using. So okay, here I'm going to export. Nice, and let's see how my cylinders are behaving here. Okay, so everything is looking good. So also as a part, sorry, also as a part of this tutorial, and you can see, oh yeah, before you see I changed, like the Z-near of the object, so now it seems to bounce into them like one property. Oh, another parenthesis about physics property here is okay. Basically, everything is like supported except that the damp, okay, and the rotation damping. I'm not able. Anyway, with this version of Blender, I'm using 2.47 here. There's no Python API, okay, available Python API to be able to export these two ones. So basically I'm using like the default value. I hope that in the next version of Blender I'm going to be able to export these value as well. So basically what the value that really affect how like those objects will behave in the world will be located in, I will select my ground and in material, and if we go here we got dynamic options, and here. So basically, we're going to have the objects that drop on my ground here, and they will use this restitution and this friction that will be applied, okay, on the material that they are bouncing on. So basically here I'm going to, this is basically 0.5 by default. I'm going to put like 1.0. This is basically 0. I'm going to put 0.2. So basically my camera will not, or the objects will not slide that easily, okay, like just now what I was testing is they're sliding like pretty easily on the ground, okay, which doesn't sound right, doesn't look right. So I'm going to export again, and we're going to be able to see that now it's, you see, I'm supposed to be like in the middle of the hill, but I'm not like dropping that fast compared to what I was doing before, because you got, forces that are applied, that the restitution and the friction that makes me stick more like on the ground. So depending on what type of environment that you're trying to create, you can tweak these values, and in order to make your camera and objects like behave properly. In this tutorial also I introduced like simple 3D picking, okay. So if I double click on an object here, I will be able to here, as you can see, like I'm highlighting, it's not really visible, okay, but because of the material, because of the color that I'm using. But here I'm able to like select an object in a 3D space. If I double click on the ground, I'm going to be able to get the handle of my plane here. And if I click on a child, I will be able to get which one is the parent. Okay, I'm using like yellow so it doesn't like look it's not really clear, so I'm going to go like on another one. Okay, this is my sphere, so you can see that it's turning red. If I click on the child, then the child is selected is red, and I'm able to see that the parent, the object, is sphere, and this one is in green. The type of picking that I'm using, okay, for SIO2 is